So where are we now?
We are now in we are discussing about Jacob and his wives. On their way back to Canaan. So we have seen that we have seen that when Jacob decided to, after Elohim spoke to him to go back to Canaan, he has two encounters. One time, the first was with Laban, his father-in-law, and the second was with Esau, his brother. So the encounter with Laban was particular one because we see that Laban accused Jacob to have steal the gods, the idols. But Jacob didn't know that Rachel has took the idols. There are many versions concerning why she did that. For me personally, I believe that she took that because she was not free from her belief. She followed Jacob by love.
Yeah.
And this is what we spoke before. And but she was not completely free from her tradition of father's tradition concerning the idols. So she took them, maybe thinking, we never know, maybe I need them. And she hid them before the father. So that is my position now. And I will confirm that why I say so. So when Laban come, Elohim do not allow him to find the idols of the gods. So he departed, and then we have the encounter with Esau. And after that, Jacob go on his way, going back to Canaan. And he has just finished. There was a reconciliation with his brother, and he go back to Canaan, and we see something very interesting because, and this is why I believe that that Rachel was not completely free from belief, traditional belief. We read in the chapter in Bereshit chapter 35.
You're 35 now.
No, we read that.
Because
what I want to explain about the gods.
Okay.
He said, and Elohim said unto Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Elohim, that appear unto you when you fled us from the face of Esau thy brother. Then Jacob said unto his household and all that were with him, put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean and change your garments.
Yeah.
You see, he doesn't speak to Rachel, he speaks to all of them, to all his household. Yeah. And he said, and let us arise and go up to Bethel. So we know the name Bethel in Hebrew is the house of El. So he said, before we go to this place, you will have to remove all the gods, all the idols, all the pagans.
Purity yourself.
And he said, not only that, be clean.
Yeah. Change your garments.
And change your garments. We know that the changing of garments is a sign that we find in the book of Revelation, where the garments has been washed in the blood of the Lamb. These very powerful signs that we see here, Jacob is a shadow of the coming Mashiach.
Yeah.
And Rachel and Leah represent the mothers of the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
And this is very powerful because in the parasha Vayetze, we see what is going on in this deal. Elohim has a way to bring us in the way he wants us to go. without us sometimes knowing it. He will force our ways. Here he used the wrong attitude from Yaakov to force him to go to Laban. And we know that he will be repaid mesure for mesure. In Hebrew we know it is midah keneged midah, mesure for mesure. What you have done, you will receive. He cheat his brother, he will be cheated by his uncle. You see, and because he took the birthright of his eldest brother, he will have to marry the eldest daughter before he get the daughter he loved.
Yes.
You see, this is really mesure for mesure. He cheated his father because his father asked him, "Are you Esau?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yes."
He lied.
He lied to his father. So Laban lied to him.
Oh yes.
Exactly mesure for mesure.
Yes.
This is a lesson for us. This is why it is so good to learn from the parasha how our carnal nature can deceive us. You see? But Yaakov had to go through the process like we have to go through the process in order to become like Elohim wants us to be. Like Elohim wants Yaakov to be, we have to become also. So Elohim will use every situation in our life to bring us into the path He wants us to be. So if there is a situation we don't master, we have to understand it is the will of Elohim, in good and in bad. And the bad we serve for good, because all things work for good to those who love Elohim.
Yeah.
That is Paul who said that. It's not me.
Yeah.
He said that, but we have to understand what Paul is saying. It's not because everything is fine. No. When there is a challenge, the challenge has a purpose in our life, specifically in our life, not in the life of our brothers, sisters, in our life. Because it is our process of growing in sanctification. And this is what we see in the life of Jacob. Jacob was a man with a high call. He was called to be the father of the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
But he was not born as a perfect man.
No.
He was born with a character. And Elohim will use this character to make him what he wants him to be, to become Israel.
Yes.
And this is what is fascinating. Fascinating because Jacob will accept the rules. He never resists. He obeys his mother. He went to his uncle, spent 20 years there, was cheated 10 times, before Elohim tell him, now it's finished. Now you will go back to Canaan and I will be with you.
Well, listen. Before he went to Laban, he went to sleep in this Bethel area.
Yeah.
And this is the time the fight of the Malakim. And there he was being called, you're no more Yaakov, but you're Israel. But you see, before he's facing all these trials in his, the struggle or the challenge in his life, he was declared already, he is Israel. His name is in Israel. So now is the time that he has to depend Elohim as Israel is to depend Elohim from all he will face, all of this tribulation in his life.
Yes, and what is interesting in what you say is that we all need to become Israel.
First,
we all
first.
need. Yes, and we will face the challenge because in fact, if we go into the sword of the story of Jacob facing the Malak, who is him facing? He's facing himself. He has to battle against the carnal Jacob.
Yeah.
Here it is the spiritual Jacob battling against the carnal Jacob. In fact, there is a midrash in Judaism who tell that the ladder which go to heaven, and you see the Malakim
Up and down.
ascending up and the other one descending. So in the midrash they say that the one who descends, it is to see if the Jacob from the earthly Jacob is the same as the heavenly Jacob. And the one who are earthly go to bring the report about the earthly Jacob to heaven.
Yeah.
You see, this is a midrash.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because we see that there is two persons in one. We have the carnal person and we have the spiritual person, you know. And this is what I find interesting, you know. Jacob had to face himself before he's ready to become Israel. And we have to face ourselves in order to become Israel. So he say here, what we read before in the chapter 35, he doesn't say remove your strange gods or the Elohim. He say also, and be clean. Clean, if we look into the word in the Hebrew, the word clean is here, taher. The word taher, which means to be bright, to be pure, uncontaminated. You see? And it's related to the word, to another word. I think it is the same word. I don't know. It's not. Anyway, you see, he said you will have to be bright, to be pure. And this is a process we have to undergo. Because without that, we will not be able to enter the land of Canaan, which is called today Eretz Israel. This is our process. This is our process, and we will have to go into the process of sanctification. So, here we have a good story to help us to understand what happened to Jacob is what happened to us. Yeah, we are not in Laban's place, but we are in the pagan's place. All around us are pagans.
No, because we are now in the Egypt world. We're in the Egypt world. We're not entering yet to the about to enter in the promised land. Not yet.
Yeah, this is
we're still in the Mitzrayim.
This is a
double meaning, or in the wilderness.
This means the spiritual man has been set free through Yeshua, as I've explained in another talk. Yeshua has brought us back to the position of Adam before sin in the spiritual realm. This is the spiritual man is already transferred in the spiritual realm and to the position of Adam before sin. But the carnal man is still bound to the earth. And the redemption of the carnal man will only come when Mashiach comes back. This is why Paul says, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Because when we work out our transition, this means we will bring the carnal man to be under the spiritual man, to subdue to the spiritual man, and not the other way around. And this is how we see Paul speak to the people and tell them, to Corinthians, but you are babies, you are carnals, you are not mature. So what is if we look at ourselves today? Are we mature or are we carnal? That's the point, you see. So we can go on and explain the process of sanctification, but I believe we will make another video to speak about the process of sanctification, which is, in my understanding, the greatest challenge that believers face today in their life. So it is. So now we go a bit more concerning the parashat. Alors, I will go back here. Yeah. Esau was a tricky man. When he heard that his brother, his parents were happy with his brother Jacob to go to Laban to marry in her family, he was so smart. He went to Ishmael and he took Mahala, the daughter of Ishmael, as a wife.
He provoked the father.
Before he married the Canaanite woman, you see. So this is the character of Esau. Esau is a tricky man. He's not honest in his work.
Rebel.
Yeah, he's a tricky man. He's even more than rebel. He's a tricky man. He doesn't care. He wants to go his own ways. And he's a absolutely carnal man. He has no spiritual enlightenment. He has no understanding. But Jacob, in spite of his carnal nature, is a spiritual man. He is a spiritual man. And it is through the process, through his journey, that he will be transformed, this carnal man, into the spiritual Israel. You know, and this is a process we have to go through, all of us. If we accept the challenge, then there is a great victory at the end. But we will have to go through. We will have to go the same process like Yaakov. So it took Yaakov 20 years. So if we dream that we are finished because we are in Yeshua, because we keep the Torah, that we are finished, then we have not understood. I keep the Shabbat, I go to the feast. That is all is external action.
The beginning.
But the internal, the inner man, him, this is the one who must be changed. Because Paul said that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven.
Yes.
So whatever we do outside must be in perfect accord with the inner man. And this is where is a deception for many. If we don't accept to go in the way like Yaakov, like Joseph, like all those who have understood that we need a clear change in our life. And this is what we learn in our in all the parashot. If we are ready, we will grow, because the word of the Torah will penetrate our soul and change it. It is a simple way. It's not the New Testament who changes the people. It is the Torah. The Torah has a power to change the people's heart, because it is the word of Elohim. It is not the word of man. The so-called New Testament, or the Brit Hadasha, the renewed covenant, these are the experience of the apostle and the word of Yeshua. But Yeshua do not come from himself. He comes from the Torah. It is only the Torah who has the power to change somebody. This is why Christianity cannot change, because they reject the Torah. But we as believers, as so-called Torah keeper, who keep the Shabbat, who go to the feast, we need absolutely to go back to the elementary ways, to read the parasha week after week, Shabbat after Shabbat, year after year, in order to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. This is what I explained in another video, is that Paul say in Romans 12 verse 2, he say, do not like this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. The mind is not a box we can open and empty. So in order to renew our mind, we will have to push something inside which we didn't know before, because we have been formatted by all our teaching, all our experience from our birth. Most of us come from a pagan family, pagan friends, pagan school, and all these years we have put in our mind all paganism, tradition, man's made tradition. Now we need to empty that in order to renew our mind. And the only way, and I said the only way to do it, it is to put the Torah inside. So when we, week after week, Shabbat after Shabbat, when we read the Torah, then the first step is we show obedience. We do exactly what was done in the first century. In the first century, we read in the book of Acts chapter 15 that the Torah is read in the assembly every Shabbat, the Torah of Moshe. So why don't we do the same things? And those who have experienced that, we confirm that the change comes by the Torah. The Torah will form our character. It will help us to remove all our failures or our dark spark and all the things which are not from Elohim. This will go out when we put the Torah in our mind. And those who do not do that, they will remain baby. This is what Paul says. You shall be a teacher now, but I feed you with milk, not with meat. Because they were not able. Because there was division. Division in the body of Mashiach. If there is division in one body, there cannot be division. So if there is division, that's the proof that we are all carnal. Where there is division, we are carnal. So and Jacob was a man who was ready to undergo the challenge. He was ready. Yeah, he didn't went to Laban on his own. He ran away. He ran away. He ran away because he feared that his brother kill him, or the mother fear that Esau, the brother, will kill her son Jacob. So he ran away from this place. But we need to run away from our carnal nature also. We need to run away in a place where we'll be challenged. We'll be challenged for our good. So if we accept that, we can be sure that at the end it's a victory. But if we refuse to do it because of our comfort zone,
our pride,
the pride, you know, then we will not move one step. We will remain the same. Don't think it is for the others. It is for each of us. Each of us, we have to go through the process. We have to, and if we refuse to go through the process, then we will not move. We will stay on the same spot.
Same place.
The same place.
Same place, same trials.
Yeah, and the trial will remain, and we will be frustrated because we don't come forwards. It's too easy to point to others, point to yourself. We need to point to ourselves and to look in the mirror and to see the reality of who we are. And then we will understand. So I hope that this message from Jacob will bring light and understanding. And I want to encourage brethren really to go into the Torah. If you go to an assembly, it is good. I don't have problem to go to an assembly. But if you go to an assembly just to hear about division, about mockery, about the others assembly, or the vain debate which do not bring anything in your life, like debate about the name, debate about who is right, who is wrong, then forget. You don't need to go to these assemblies. It's better you stay home and you study for yourself, and you will see you will have more fruit than to go to an assembly which program who speak division. Division in the body of Mashiach is against the Torah. So, finish.